Welcome you again to Out My Mouth Into Your Ear, where we talk about love, politics, and all that other stuff. Look at that smile, man. That $1,000,000 smile. I love it.
So what we talking about tonight? What's going on?
So tonight we want to talk about Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the effect that she had on our country. And of course we want to talk about Breonna Taylor, how these verdicts and these decisions continue to be injustices. Okay? So we'll touch on those things. But first, we want to hit you with this video about Roe versus Wade.
Right.
Okay? And so you give me the breakdown of Roe versus Wade.
So Roe versus Wade was about women legalizing abortion.
Previously,
women, they had to go to the black market
and which, not to cut you off,
you're fine.
Which America, we have plenty of black markets going on in this country.
Oh, yeah.
And abortion being one of them.
Yeah. And it's sad because it's, unlike drugs and some of the other black markets, we're talking about a woman's body. And and the creation of another human being.
Right.
So,
and I feel that a woman should have that right to choose, but we'll go into that a little later. But what we want to do right now is present to you this video of a woman who went to the black market and went through an illegal abortion.
Yeah.
So check this out.
I stand and speak to protect other women. My name is Libby Rich. I'm a native of Alabama. I'm 69 years old, and I am a victim of Alabama's restrictive abortion law. Many years ago, I testified in front of the Alabama Senate legislature about what happened to me when I obtained an illegal abortion. When Roe v. Wade was passed, I celebrated along with millions of other women, thinking that never again would a woman experience what I experienced. When the legislature passed the law to try and strip us of our rights, I will never stay silent about that, ever. I was 19 years old, was on the birth control pill, but I got pregnant anyway. And you could have a therapeutic abortion in Alabama. You would go through UAB hospital and be interviewed by a panel of doctors who happen to be all white, all male. They'd ask you a series of questions and determine whether or not you were eligible.
What was the criteria?
Whatever the doctors decided. They told me that I was not eligible because I was young, I was healthy. It would not irrevocably destroy my life, as I could give the child that I would have out of wedlock up for adoption and then continue on with my life. That was not acceptable to me, so I went underground, UAB, and found out that there were ways to obtain an abortion that were illegal. So I found a woman who would perform the abortion for $300. I went to her house, did as she instructed. I removed my jeans and underwear and shoes, and got on her kitchen table and spread my legs and watched as she inserted a plastic tube that had been boiling in a pot of water on the stove. And she inserted it into my uterus, told me to get dressed, to take a long walk, that when I would start bleeding, to go home and I would abort. I aborted into the toilet. She was right. I didn't know enough to ask about antibiotics. Of course, she didn't have any. They were never mentioned. The aftercare was just, who knew? The next day I was delirious with a high fever, and a woman from work called, and I told her what I'd done, and she came to get me and dropped me off at UAB's emergency room, and she left. I did not want her complicit in the event that I was arrested.
Because at that time it was illegal, and a woman who got an abortion
would be prosecuted. Okay. She would be arrested. I did not tell the doctors who attended me what I had done. Mm-hmm. I lied and said I'd kept a Tampax in too long, and they said, "We know what you've done, we're gonna call the police." As they pressed down on my stomach time and again, causing tremendous amounts of pain. They showed no mercy. I woke up 2 days later, and the doctors standing over me said, "Well, why don't you just admit that you had an illegal abortion?" I kept my mouth shut, didn't say a word. They said, "Well, let me tell you this. Because of the amount of infection, your uterus is probably so scarred that you'll never be able to get pregnant again." And that turned out to be true.
I'm sorry to hear that.
For weeks afterwards, I was terrified that the police were going to come to work and that everybody would know. And finally, that fear ebbed away. And life went back to being normal. And then Roe v. Wade, and I spoke out.
So what made you decide to speak out then?
With me, it's not a matter of choice. I stand and speak to protect other women. We talk about abortion freely. Most of us. We can say the word. Back then, it just wasn't done. I mean, the thought of a woman standing there testifying to an illegal abortion, oh my God. I was terrified, but not enough to keep my silence.
So what happened after you spoke at the Senate?
Like most times, I'm pretty much a loner. I drove down to Montgomery by myself, and I got in my car and drove back by myself. Afraid, of course, of the repercussions, what it was going to cost me.
Well, what were the repercussions?
That I was flooded with letters of gratitude from women all over the state. My women came to my store and hugged me and cried. And there were women who came and, harassed me, insulted me, said terrible things to me, yada, yada, yada. But what was so wonderful was the outpouring of support. It is with huge amount of regret that I'm sitting here. It is with endless rage that has no depth or breadth that this is going on.
What would your life be like if you were able to obtain a legal abortion?
Oh, gee, I'd never thought of that. I don't know how to respond to that question. It has been part of my life for so long, I can't imagine that I wouldn't be as hungry. I imagine that I would not be as afraid. I don't imagine it would ever shut me up. Speaking for a woman's right to choice. That my life would have been calmer, more secure. I can't tell you what that illegal abortion did to me, except it marked deep scars in my body and in my soul.
Why do you think it's important to talk now?
Roe v. Wade cannot be overturned. I call on everyone to stop this movement. If you can't speak about your abortion, speak to defend another woman's right. I am more than a uterus. I am a living, breathing human being with inalienable rights. Me, a living, breathing human being. You see that anger? I hope you also see that deep-seated fear.
OMG. Why are we blank? OMG. So, how could you not have any compassion when you see that video, right? So, these people that exist in our world are so simple-minded, so one-track minded that they're gonna make these women criminals because they decide what they want to do with their body. I think it's so typical,
selfish,
of white men in our country. It's so typical because let me tell you, this could be a one-time choice for a person like this, right? This could be a one-time choice.
It was a one-time choice for her.
Right. You know? A one-time choice.
Because as a result of what she had to do illegally,
it messed her.
It damaged her body. She'll never ever be able to have children again.
But then not only that, it's illegal, and they making her want to make her a criminal behind it.
Right.
But the other side of that point is, had that been a legal abortion, that's one time. That's a one-time decision. She still have opportunities later in life when things are better for her to have children.
So it adds to the situation. By now, I can't even go about this the right way. Right. I got to be doing something that I'm not supposed to be doing to try to figure out the situation.
So it defeats the whole purpose of pro-life. You see what I'm saying? They have this backward mentality of punishment. Everything is about punishment. But then let's flip the hypocrisy about it, right? So I was a business major in college.
You right.
Right?
Look,
I'm sorry. I was just, this production, everything is, I see why they have engineers and background. It's just so much going on behind the scenes. So not only we got to be focused.
Know the half of it.
Oh man! Not only we got to focus on what we're doing, we got to focus on the technology. Y'all, see, y'all can't see all this stuff going on in the background that we got to pay attention to. But the hypocrisy of being free in this country. All right. So being a business major, you have the term laissez-faire economics, right? In which I took a term from Jay Prince, you know, big music producer. I'm a Republican.
You're a
okay?
Republican.
Because I do believe in a balance between what I can do and what the government saying I can't do. But it needs to be a balance.
That's part of regulation, right?
Right. So I also believe in regulation because guess what happens? You have people with power. They're not gonna do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
You still gonna have somebody that's gonna try to circumvent the system, Donald Trump.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That makes things work for them because laws only keep an honest person honest.
Oh, that's real tough.
You see what I'm saying? Crooks don't do what crooks don't do. They don't give a dang about a law.
And with the root of it all, it's money, it's evil. So some people will do anything for that dollar.
Right.
You know, so morals and all those things go out the door.
Right.
Long as I have.
Right. But I'm going to give a different perspective on money as the root of all evil. Because we still have to have money to have certain things to go on. Right. We got to have the light, water, gas, food, clothing, shelter.
Can't be broke out here.
You can't be broke. So you got to have the money.
Agreed.
But you got to have ethics, moral integrity. We have to have those things to keep everything in check.
Absolutely.
All right. So back to the illegal abortion. Okay. So now they go in here and tell women that they don't have the right to choose about their bodies. But guess what? You can't control what people gonna do. Right. So the laissez-faire economics, big business, they want to do what they want to do. Don't tell me what you want to do. But then guess what? People, after I graduated high school, I went into the manufacturing business, right? So people getting their fingers cut off. I seen what people got whole hands chopped off.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So now this is why we got to have regulation. Now we got OSHA to prevent those type of things from happening. Because from a business perspective, the only thing they thinking about is productivity.
Right.
I got to get to these numbers.
So they'll roll you out and roll somebody else in there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So let me tell you an incident that I experienced, man. And I went back to work for this company, and I had to ask a lady, because this was back in the early 90s. This lady dropped dead on the production floor. Yeah. She dropped dead. Called an ambulance. They came in there, scooped this lady body up, put in the ambulance, took her on. Do you think they stopped production that night?
No,
it was like did nothing happen. Go back to work, ain't nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Right? So my thing is this. So big companies, they talk about freedom. I want the freedom to do this. But then tell a woman she can't have the freedom to choose what goes on with her body. Yeah. See, that's the hypocrisy. So, but you're about free life, but I'm going to run a company that could kill people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I went and pulled a book out of the archives, right? This book, this book is called The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. Now, this is something that took place in the 1900s. A Lithuanian immigrant talking about the Chicago meatpacking industry, right? How things were so it said the turn of the century, the back-breaking labor, the injustices of wage slavery. The same stuff that we're dealing with now. So you tell the lady that she can't have...
How many years ago was that?
This book was in 1906.
Right.
And it's called The Jungle, right? Because that's how life is, right? The jungle. So here's what they do. They tell the woman, oh, you're going to have this baby. But then now we dealing with Obamacare. But they're not going to give you the help. You can't have access to the health care to take care of the baby. But you're going to have this baby. And then we come back with the labor and the wage issues, right? So now they not giving you a livable wage. And now you got children, right?
So this is all things that affect the woman.
Right. But now it don't affect the woman. It affects a family.
It does. But it was as a result of the women
not
having the ability to do the things legally that anyone else had.
Right.
You know. So let's talk about RBJ. You know, I call her RBJ.
Right. So, but the thing, I mean, we got to sit back and think. This hypocrisy got to stop it. We're going to be about freedoms. Freedoms got to be a little bit more broad, right? Women should have the right to choose what to do with their bodies. Because what's going to happen, you create the black market, and women are going to die. They're going to maim their bodies, and it doesn't give opportunity for future birth.
Correct.
So this selfishness,
it never works.
It never works.
Long term, it never works. Now, in the immediate, you may prevent it in the immediate.
But you cause another.
Long term, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So it's not going to work, right?
Not going to work. So it's crazy.
And so one of the reasons that we were talking about abortion is because we lost a great one.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yes.
So I know y'all been seeing me. I've been wearing this shirt.
Vote.
I'm gonna keep wearing it until after this election, but I'll wear it again because
you guys have to understand the seriousness of what's going on today. You guys have to
get out and vote.
It ain't no other. We don't even need to have any other discussions about anything else. Just do that first.
Go vote. So we want to talk about 5 rights that we would not have without Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And that first right that I want to talk about, of course, we just spoke of it, is the right to have an abortion. So she was the one that championed that, right? All right. The second is the right to fair wages. Now, that's still an argument that we having today. Why?
Still.
Fair wages?
Absolutely. You know how long I've been in corporate America, and my experience is like, you know, we got to have a discussion about wages, but they don't want to tell you what they making. But you already know what they make.
Right.
So why come I'm not capable of making that same amount?
Right.
You know.
And another thing about fair wages, and as an entrepreneur, I do understand that you want to make as much money as you can in your business. But at the same time, when these big corporations making this money, they are able to pay lobbyists for their causes, right? Because they got big money to throw at these things, right? And so when they do that, everything is for their benefit, and they're not thinking about working class people, which is terrible.
With taxation and all those things for the company,
right? So it makes no sense that just because a company can throw their money out there, they don't have to pay taxes. They can get away with contributing back to society, and their only excuse is I can contribute back to society is because I'm hiring people. But your trucks are tearing up the roads. You know what I'm saying? So we need that tax money to fix these roads.
Again, it goes back to morals and integrity, because you would not try to, if you have all this money, you would be trying to do the right thing. So you would be trying to help in those things.
It's
not trying to not pay taxes.
Right.
Right.
Why would you not? To me, that's un-American. Now, granted, we do want to, try to pay as minimum amount of taxes as possible. That's granted. That's only common sense. But at the same time, we live in this country, right? So we would want everything holistically to be better for everybody within the country. Because a bad street, potholes, that's not just bad for me. It's bad for everybody. It's tearing up everybody's cars.
Absolutely.
So the list goes on with the type of things that our government, that we pay our taxes to, that our government needs to be held accountable for.
Yeah.
This is why going to vote is important. All right. So the third thing, the right to attend any public university, no matter your gender. Now, does that sound crazy, right? So just because you're a woman, you can't go to a certain college, or just because your genetic makeup or whatever that may be, you can be discriminated against, and you can't go to this college. Is that crazy?
Yeah.
So we're talking about the last issue was the military college. I think the VMI, Virginia Military Institute, where they had a problem with women coming into university.
Even Ruth, no disrespect, but even Ruth, she actually went to Harvard Law School, and she was the first out of 8 women in her class of 500 people going through the class at that time, and she was discriminated against. So that set her on her journey,
right?
So that was like reading that, it was like, what the heck, So even back in her day, when she was first starting out, she was experiencing those challenges,
right? But see, those are the things that make us who we are, your experiences, right? And so she was granted with the opportunity through her experiences and through her profession to make change. And so we're grateful for that.
Yep.
And then the next thing, the fourth one I want to talk about is the right to marry anyone, right?
Yeah.
So here we are as human beings. We want to be the judge and jury and executioner.
Yeah.
We want to dictate
control everything you do.
What is that? We want to control. So we're gonna tell you that you can't marry who you. That ain't got who you marry ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
If that's your choice, that should be that person's choice, and they should not be discriminated against through whatever benefits and job opportunities or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
So she was instrumental in passing that law, getting that law passed that people of all sex can go ahead and marry across all 50 states.
Right. So of course, with her seat being gone, right now everything stands in jeopardy. But let's touch on this fifth one. The right for people with mental disabilities to be a part of communities. Now think of how many families out there that's dealing with, that have children that have disabilities, mental and physical.
I'm not going to be so serious right now. But a lot of these supporters, these clown supporters, probably have some mental issues, and we don't want them part of our community. But no, okay, let's be serious.
Because the way they think, you're absolutely right.
Oh,
because the way they think is affecting
absolutely
everyday people's life.
Absolutely.
So imagine you're dealing with children that have disabilities, right? And then you have these laws out there restricting you about how to deal with this child in public, things you can't do and can't do. So people, the handicapped parking spaces, they are meant for handicapped people, okay?
Oh gosh, are you talking to me?
No. If you are healthy and vibrant and strong, shame on you for parking in the handicapped spot. All right? Let's be respectful. All right. So this next one I want to talk about, of course, we all remember Bush versus Gore in 2000. The Chad, the bubble Chad down in Florida.
I woke up like, what the heck happened? Like
crazy.
Oh man.
Oh my God. I voted for Bush the first term. I disagreed with Bush and the weapons of mass destruction the second time, right?
Yeah.
So I felt that Gore just wasn't strong enough. He didn't put the muscle out there for
I got another question for you then.
Go ahead.
Do you think Biden is strong enough?
Biden, man, I'm going with Biden and Camilla.
Do you think he's strong enough? Because you just mentioned strong. Is that really the determining factor?
Oh, it definitely is the determining factor.
Okay, so you think Trump's strong enough?
The reason I knew that Trump was going to be elected, right? I said this, and because he exhibited that leadership that strong manly
people gravitate
stuff.
to that, right?
You know what I'm saying? Yes, you hold your ground, you say what you say, and this is what it is. And I knew that he was going to be elected because of that, right? But I also think that Biden is strong as well. He will stand up and fight too. But the point of the matter is, Trump has done so much bad that he has got to go. You know, I don't care where he go. Go run Trump Plaza. Get out. I don't care what you do. Go back to the plaza.
That's the message.
You know what I'm saying? Just go about your business. Because what you was doing inside your company, that's one thing. But now you talking about everybody else in the world.
In the world. Not just the country, the world.
Right. You causing all this strife, and you got people ready to pop off and fight at any minute, put a gun out and shoot. Man, go on about your business with that crazy nonsense. Take that junk back to Trump Plaza. We don't need it.
Yeah.
All right, so this next one is, which is the last one. It's an extra one. This is Shelby County vote versus Holder 2013. And I'm going to read this one. And because they said, it's been said that if you want to hide your money, put it in a book. So
you will find it.
Let me tell you, if you put that money in a book, I'm going to read it. I'm going to find it. So with that being said, I want to talk about this Shelby County versus Holder in 2013. It's talking about the Civil Rights Acts and right to vote. All right. So, at shorthand, this court ruling is often referred to as the decision that gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act, Section 4B, of that landmark legislation, which was intended to bar racial discrimination in voting, enacted special requirements for certain parts of the country that had a particular terrible track record of suppressing minority votes. Check that out.
65.
Check it out.
Yeah,
always suppressing our vote. All right? So under Section 5 of that act, a policy known as pre-clearance required states like Alabama, Texas, and Arizona to receive approval from the Attorney General or 3-judge panel in Washington, D.C. before making any decision to their voting requirements. But in 2013, Alabama's Shelby County challenged that constitutionality of the decades-old act. And in a 5-4 opinion, the Supreme Court agreed, claiming that the restrictions were outdated in the modern era and that it was an unconstitutional violation for Congress, rather than the states themselves, to set the terms of election. Imagine that.
Wow.
So throwing out pre-clearance when it has worked and is continuing to work to stop discriminatory changes. Ginsburg wrote in a blistering dissent, it's like throwing away your umbrella in a rainstorm because you're not getting wet. So, in the years since Section 5 was overturned, the states previously covered by pre-clearance have enacted a rash new laws, making it more difficult to vote in those states. As Van Newkirk wrote in The Atlantic, voting became rapidly more difficult after the Shelby County decision, particularly, check this out, check it out,
Crazy.
Particularly for poor and elderly black people and Latinos. So check this out.
Y'all need to know that.
So my point is, this. Through the laws, they work so vigorously to stop,
to suppress it,
to suppress your vote. So you have to imagine, you have to ask yourself, why do they work so hard to silence your vote?
Mm-hmm. And, I'm just so over it of people saying, oh, it's not going to change anything. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the commonality, right?
Right.
It's not going to change anything. Why are we engaging with their system? We need to find our own way. And, okay. But
you're a part of the system.
Today, you're a part of the system, right?
So get involved.
So you have to get involved. You're in a situation where you have to
vote.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
with that being said, we talked about Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to be aware of like what's at risk. They say go vote, right? But with her out now, it's critical because it's not us. Well, it is us that will be affected, but the younger generation will be more affected,
right,
by some of the things that are in place that they're trying to overturn,
right?
Like ACA, Obamacare, same thing. Right. If you didn't know, ACA is Obamacare. So they branded it Obamacare, but it was the Republicans' bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
That Obama was smart enough to pass, and now they want to overturn it.
Right, because his name is
associated with it, right?
But just think of how many people are going to be affected by overturning that, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, me, I would not be affected by if Obamacare was removed. Mm-hmm. I have insurance,
mm-hmm.
right? You have insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But I care about people who don't have insurance because it's such a terrible feeling to have to go to a doctor and be turned away because you don't have insurance. I was listening to Boosie. Boosie had a cancer, which was a cancer, a killing cancer,
mm-hmm.
right? Of course, he didn't have no insurance. He's this big rapper, no insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and say, hey man, and they do the test on him.
Mm-hmm.
You got this debilitating, this cancer that's probably going to take you out, right? So he said, okay. And they said that they can't see him because he didn't have insurance. So he said, check this out. I'm going to go ahead and pay cash.
Mm-hmm.
But see, he's one of the fortunate few that has that lump sum of money to pay for that surgery.
Yeah.
But had he not been in that position, he would have been. They told him they'll see him in a month or two.
Right.
So what is that about? You
terrible.
People, how can you gotta have that insurance, man.
Yeah. So some of the other things that are at risk is, of course, we just talked about abortion. They intend to try to eliminate abortion legally again. Hundreds of thousands of DACA face deportation. So that's an issue that's coming up, still on the table.
Right.
We talked about a couple of years ago, and it kind of, everything else is, of course, chaotic.
Right. So everything that the conservative Republicans want to push through is up for grabs right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why they're moving so expediently.
Absolutely.
To make these things happen. Go ahead.
Yeah. So those are like some of the major things, Trump's financial documents.
Right.
That's going before the Supreme Court. He's fighting that in the Supreme Court right now.
But not only that, not only that, his election.
Oh.
He already trying to say that.
Right.
The election is going to be rigged, and we're going to have to resolve this in the court. So he want to pack the court.
Mm-hmm.
So that the courts are ruled in his decision if the vote is close.
Right.
So guess what that means? Get out and vote. And I know that we're in a pandemic right now, but check this out. I'm in Atlanta and I'm listening to the radio on the weekend. They already talking about going to the clubs, partying, but we gonna social distance, wear your mask, but you still getting out, being amongst people. So let me tell you this.
They're not wearing no mask either, just so you know.
Right. Well, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Here's my point on that. If you can get out there and go to these restaurants and social distance, go to the polls and social distance.
Mm-hmm.
We don't wait on the mail. You see, they already trying to rig the mail. Don't wait on that.
Yeah, that would be the place that you want to
go. I'm so proud. I was watching Virginia this weekend. I'm so proud of Virginia. They went out there. They out there already early voting. The majority of their voting is already done took place because they standing in line early voting.
Yeah, I definitely would say do early voting. Don't wait.
Don't depend,
because we don't know what their plans are. You know, they'll have one poll place open for everybody.
Right.
So that's not gonna work. Right. We know that's not gonna work.
They already got their plan, and we got to stop being passive. You got to be aggressive. They being aggressive. They trying to push this Supreme Court justice through. Democrats, we can't allow it. You need to get in there. Whatever, if you want to do impeachment proceedings on Barr, do another impeachment proceeding on Trump. Whatever it is, put the stall tactics out there until we get past this election. All right, I want to give this shout out. I'm gonna give a shout out to Heather Hayes. Yep. A high school classmate. Oh, Heather doing her thing over there. Check her out, Heather Hayes Experience. Last night I was watching her podcast. She had Earthquake on. And Earthquake.
It was a great podcast.
It was nice. I enjoyed every minute of it, right? So also Heather does her live band experience. All right? If you need a live band, check her out. She's amazing.
Yeah.
That's classic. The last name speaks for itself. Isaac Hayes. Oh, I'm a native Atlantan, and Isaac Hayes was the man in the 70s.
And I just love to see black women doing their thing.
I love to see us doing our thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so the purpose of this is shout out Earthquake. Earthquake has this 1+3 initiative. 1+3, and what this means is it's not just about you going to the polls. You need to get three other people to the polls
that would not have otherwise
voted. Yeah. So the thing is, it's not 3 people that would vote. That doesn't count because we already know they gonna vote. It's 3 people that you need to get to the polls that would not vote.
Yep.
Get those 3 people to the poll. And I want to take it one step further. We have a lot of elderly people in our community that can't get to the poll. They need transportation.
Yeah.
So if you take 1, 2, maybe 3 people of people who don't have transportation, if you take those people to the polls, you've done a good service to your community.
Yeah.
Get those people to the polls, right? And don't look for the instant gratification, man.
Right.
I'm telling you, blessings will be there. You helping somebody just to help somebody out of the good nature of your heart, the blessings, they're gonna come. So do that. Get some people to the polls.
Yeah, we definitely just need to come together and work together.
Right.
Because right now it's a crisis.
Right.
We what I say. We're on Survivor Island right now. We don't have no guidance. The CDC, everybody. I mean, you don't know what's real out here anymore. So, and people, what we at 201,000 people?
200,000 people
dead.
And that number is going to continue to go up
because we don't have family. Right. That could be your family
or you,
right? So, it's
even at this point, as the president of the country, still don't have a plan. He's talking about herd immunity. Herd immunity. Dare imagine that.
Yeah.
So we're not going to solve the problem. Just catch it.
Vote.
And maybe you might survive, you might not. Herd immunity.
Go vote.
So, man, that's crazy. So we're going to transition from there and talk about Breonna Taylor for a brief. Even in this case, the injustice continues, right? So just the beginning of the case, the police was in the wrong place. They had the wrong people. All right? Just imagine that the house you moved into, this is giving an example. Just imagine the house that you moved into and the people that lived in that house prior to you were involved in some illegal activity, whatever it is. You move into that house. I'm just giving an example. This is not Taylor's situation. I'm just giving an example. So you move in that house. The police department, they get a hit that this house is hot for drugs. But now it's new tenants in that house. All right? Now they show up, guns blazing, and they ready to do what they doing, but they got the wrong people. Mm-hmm. So naturally, we in the second, right? We're in the Second Amendment state. Everybody got guns. You have the right to defend your property. So you got all this commotion going on outside in the middle of your sleep. You wake up with guns. You shoot a warning shot. Say, hey, man, I'm up in here. Y'all go about your business. Mm-hmm. You don't know it's the police. Now, you shoot that warning shot. Now, they come back with a barrage of bullets. And you in there. And your loved one get killed.
And they say you did it.
And then they blame it on you. Not only they blame it on you, then they try to give a plea deal. And then in your plea deal, they tell you, say that she was involved. Yep. Yeah. And then you come, no, she had nothing to do with nothing. Right. You killed an innocent person. And then now they come back with these 3 charges of first-degree wanton endangerment. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Not murder charges, but endangerment, right? Mm-hmm. And then the boyfriend, they want to charge him with murder, want to blame it on him. You at the wrong place to begin with.
Well, yeah, because they say that his bullet is the one that killed her. Right. Now think about that. If you're in a situation and you're trying to defend your family, why would your woman even be in front of you? So that, I mean, a lot of things
but
just don't even.
She laying in the bed asleep. So his bullet, right. He ain't shooting this way. He's shooting this way.
Right. So it's just a lot of things that just don't add up.
So now we have, it's a Class D felony, $10,000 fine, and 5 years imprisonment. So let's talk try to get some positivity out of it, right? So you got 3 charges, 5 years imprisonment if he found guilty on all 5 charges, and they put the max to it. He's 15 years in prison, right? But then on the reality standpoint, because we know how these things go, so chances are he'd probably be acquitted of the charges, right? Mm-hmm. And if they arrest him, it'd be boom, time served type deal, and he's back out in the public.
And then the $15,000 cash bond is a joke, right?
Right.
Let's be real about it.
And then the other 2 officers, they go back to work business as usual, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just terrifying. And so now here we are. Mm-hmm. If I'm rolling through Kentucky, so now you suspicious, I might roll up on this cop. You know what I'm saying? This cop might roll up on me. So now we don't know what.
You got rolled up on. You can be in the house. Right.
Be in your house.
And they come in your house.
And we don't know.
You don't even have the right to defend yourself.
Right.
On their error. Because that was their error. So they need to be held accountable.
Right.
You know?
So what they do, they pass.
Everything beyond that, when they entered that house in error,
everything
else beyond that,
but
that's not how they're looking at it. And it's
right.
Terrible. It's terrible.
So this is where I say, and then they try to pacify us with the civil settlement. What it was, $12 million or whatever.
Not in 12.
So they do the settlement, the civil settlement. This is where I say that.
But the taxpayers are paying for it.
Right. So they are overfunded. So it's like an arrogance. Right. You know what I'm saying? We got the money. Yes, we killed you. We're gonna throw the money. We're gonna make it rain. Mm-hmm. Now it's like shut up and be quiet. So now we're gonna come over here, and the officers are acquitted. Yeah. So this is why they have too much money to play with. So we take those funds away and let people be held accountable for their action. Because I'm a firm believer that nobody is above the law. Not the president, and not the police. So we need to do something with the Constitution. It need to be amended so these things are not happening. The emolument clause. Now we all know that if it's a black person that's or any minority that had become president, and we flirting around with the emoluments clause, oh my God, it would have been chaos up in here. It would have been mutiny. So we got to do if
it was a white woman laying in that bed, and the police came into her home.
Oh yeah.
And killed her. It would have been an uproar. The laws would have already been changed.
Right.
That would have never happened again.
Right.
Let's be real about it.
Right.
So we know what we're dealing with. So
yeah, we gotta make this change. And back to this book, The Jungle. These people were Lithuanian, but it was immigrants that was coming from everywhere trying to seek a better life in the country, right? So they was treated like garbage, but then they got the opportunity to do better in life, whether they became police officers or whatever. But they enacted that same discriminatory, bad way of treating people onto other people. So my thing is, if you don't want to be treated like that, what make you think that somebody else want to be treated like that? This thing got to be fair across the board. So my advice is that, hey, get your butt out there and vote. Yes. And people that's in your community telling you that your vote don't matter, people out there telling you not to vote, you ask them, what are you doing to make things better for the community?
Because I can guarantee you, there's nobody, I haven't, and I'm around them all the time, there's nobody out here talking about, of the white race, talking about don't vote.
Right.
That's not even a discussion.
We just read
you know, it's not even a discussion. So you guys just wake up, do the right thing, go vote. You know what I'm saying? Especially right now. I'm tired of this pandemic, as I'm sure everybody else is.
We want to get back to
normal. You know what I'm saying? We still don't have a plan under this guy. So I don't know how in anyone's right mind someone could think about, oh yeah, this is the way to go. So you want to do another 4 years of this?
Oh my God! He already
is that where we're going?
And check, he already shut the government down, and which lasted the longest ever.
Right. Oh, so, I'm sure people forgot about that.
Don't forget about that, right?
So from there, now we've got like 28 million. Is it 28 million now? I haven't checked the date, but 28 million.
30 million that's still unemployed.
Right.
But then he told y'all, you know, go get a dog babysitting job while he's still up in the White House eating good.
Man, watching Fox News for 8 hours and going golfing.
Right, and you out here.
Hello.
You know what I'm saying? His stuff, and he complaining about Barack Obama and his golfing, and he doing all the golfing he want to do. Ain't doing. It's like, where's the work?
It's a joke.
It's the hypocrisy, and we got to end it. Get your butts out there and vote.
Yep.
This was a beautiful episode. I enjoyed it. I could talk about politics all day long.
All night long. Look,
I love it.
He's a late nighter. He be doing all that.
You know, thinking all the time. I love it. Yeah. But great minds think for themselves. Do not let somebody else determine how you think. Right? So these people telling you not to vote, I have a problem. It's a pet peeve of mine. Because a lot of these people, their lives are fine. They doing okay. Right? Because they know how to hustle and get out there and make things pop for them. But everybody is not blessed with that hustle. The people that depend, and I'm sorry, it's just what it is. People that depend on our government to do the right thing, we need to be out there voting and making sure that these people that we put in position to speak for us are doing the right thing.
And then so it goes back to love thy neighbor. They want to preach, God, love thy neighbor. But you don't want to support thy neighbor at all. So that's just an outward perception that you want to create. But you really don't mean it. Right. You know, so
because if you mean it, you know, it would be love for all, universal health care.
Right.
Why would you want to see somebody that's in pain and hurting and they can't get the help that they need? It's absurd to me.
Yeah.
So we want to thank you for tuning in to Out My Mouth Into Your Ear, where we talk about love, politics, and all that other stuff. Boy, I love to see that $1 million smile. And of course, the vote shirt I will be wearing.
Make sure you vote. That's
throughout.
If you don't get nothing else from the show, go vote.
I will be wearing the shirt throughout until election day. And if you like this shirt, I can get it to you. Only $20. And be kind.
Be safe. Peace and love.
Peace and love.